Freedom's the answer. What's the question? You're listening to Ernest Hancock.
Yeah, what we fight for here on Declare Your Independence with me, Ernest Hancock, in Phoenix, Arizona, from the beautiful studios of Freedoms with an S, freedomsphoenix.com. Tell you what we're fighting for in Afghanistan, in the Middle East, and everything. Has something to do with all. Has something to do with all business. You know, that's one thing I want to talk about here, and who better than to talk to someone there, Kathy Kelly. You know, she's got it going on. She's spending time with the people there. She's co-coordinator of Voices for Creative Nonviolence. And I promise before the end of this segment, I'll give you an opportunity to promote an event you're doing for this weekend, for the beginning of the year, trying to show some solidarity, some support for let's give peace a chance, man. Let's give it a shot. Now, go ahead and talk about the pipeline that's there. Who's involved in it? When it's going to start being used? Give us the whole spiel from your perspective, would you please, Kathy?
Well, there's been discussion for many, many years of what's called the TAPI pipeline, the Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India pipeline. This is something the Unocal Corporation was working on in the 90s, and they had to put their plans on hold. But at the Lisbon conference that NATO held in mid-November of this year, the Asia Development Bank agreed to be the main funder for this. The Obama administration is very, very pleased that they now can sign off on beginning construction of this pipeline. Well, it goes right through the Helmand and Kandahar provinces, which are right now places where warfare is raging. So it's not expected that the pipeline construction would really go online until 2014. Well, that's when the United States has now said they would begin to consider a troop pullout. So we're not only up against militarists who, belittled Iraq-tainted generals who are not hesitant to perpetuate warfare. I mean, that's what they're good at. And all the many companies that make money and profit off of sending increasingly horrific weaponry over here. I'm not only talking about the drones and the armored personnel carriers and the tanks that can now shoot missiles that will go across 8 football fields, but there are also new guns that have been designed, which are able to shoot missiles that go right through buildings and can go by laser-guided computerization immediately to the target that they're trying to kill. That could also kill quite a number of people along the way. These kinds of weapons are being constructed and being experimented with over here. But now we also have big oil, natural gas companies, people who want to see this pipeline go and have dominance. And if it's true that the United States is in a Cold War with China, we also want to be able to dominate the area where China might understandably expect to get resources from neighboring countries. So it seems that the geopolitical strategists will want to keep the United States in Afghanistan for a very long time, and at a very high cost. $2 billion per week is being spent to maintain the U.S. troops. You can go to a road that leads to the outskirts of Kabul, and it's one of the biggest scandals I've ever experienced in my life. There's a huge new wall that's been constructed, and it goes on for about a mile and a half. And behind that wall, you can see bunkers and buildings and many administrative places and housing, everything being developed in order to accommodate the United States troops, the United States security contractors. And on the other side of the street, you see people living in tents. And nearby, the Charahi Kambar refugee camp for internally displaced people, many of them people who had to flee from the United States aerial bombardment in the Sangin province of Helmand. I sat with those families, and it could break your heart. They're cold. It's really cold here right now. And they don't have fuel. They don't have a way to get warm. just now they're beginning to distribute packets of lumber to the families. But when I visited them, they didn't have any of that. The blankets were decrepit. They don't have access to adequate water supplies. The men can't get work. Their food supply is meager. The children, many of them are sick, can't get health care. These people were living dignified lives as goat herders. They weren't asking for more than a chance to fatten their goats and sell yogurt. And now they're just begging so that they might survive. And they're carrying the traumas. One man lost his wife and 5 of his children.
You know, there's one other thing that I want to bring up.
Who lost her arm.
Just one other thing I wanted to bring up. We're starting to get a lot of news here that they're experimenting with bioidentification in Afghanistan. They're doing these iris scanners. You have the military going up to Afghanis and they're fingerprinting them and taking a picture of their irises and doing it for what? Is that like experimenting, like you're saying, with the weapons there and so on, where they can fire a button? I know the weapons that you're talking about. One of them is a handheld weapon. It's a infantry weapon, a rifle that you can laser find and say, I want this shell, this bullet, to detonate 1 meter past a window opening. It's urban warfare experimenting. I think we might suffer the repercussions here as time goes on. But the one thing, this IDing of people, have you been hearing anything about that? Them doing that there?
Well, I read about it too. I mean, it sounds so incongruous when I think of the conversation last night with a number of youngsters, and none of them knew their birth dates. We kind of joked about it. They were telling me, that they've been hauling water and collecting firewood, getting up at 2 or 6 in the morning every year of their lives since they were 7 years old. And I asked them how old they were now, and I might be 15, I might be 16, I'm not sure. It's not something that villagers really keep track of. So it would be quite a chore for the United States to do this kind of identification. They should talk to some of the people that go to the first aid outpost for the emergency hospital out in Panjshir. I traveled with them for a bit, and they said, families have 15 children, and they have no idea when censuses are taken how many people actually live in a village. It's a lot of guessing. Well, the United States certainly will want to, as you say, experiment, and every NGO that is here comes in pretty well equipped, with the exception of a few who really try to live as close to the people as possible. I think of this Singaporean doctor. His name is Hakim. That's the name that the villagers gave to him. And he lives in a one-room house with a light bulb and very, very little other than a cell phone and a computer, so that he can stay in touch with people who want to be in support of the Afghan Youth Peace Volunteers.
Well, let me ask.
If I could just say one other thing. It's going to sound like shameless self-promotion, but I'll be in Phoenix and speaking with several peace groups in Phoenix on January 25th and 26th, and it would be great to meet some of your listeners if they're in your area in person.
Yeah, absolutely. Just let us know. Give us a week's notice. Remind us. Talk with Sierra. You got our communication, and we'll go ahead and we'll work out something. We got plenty of people that I'm sure we have cross interest in both what you're doing and what we're doing, and we'll get together. I guarantee it. Well, the other thing is,
the reason I'll be going there is to head over to a trial in Nevada because we protested at Creech Air Force Base.
Oh, I think we talked to you about that before, didn't we?
That's right. And the judge decided that he needed 3 months to think about the verdict, and so we're eager to get the verdict and see what he has to say. And my thought is that afterward, whether he finds us innocent or guilty, if we're in fact not in jail, we should set up a camp and displace ourselves and experience, even just for a few days, living outdoors and with very primitive circumstances.
Well, I think a lot of Americans are already getting that kind of experience. A lot of people here are already getting that kind of experience. It's getting bad. One thing before I let you go, go ahead and promote the website that you wanted people to contact for your program this weekend.
Well, I hope people will go to Journey to Smile and sign up for a time to either call or Skype or use Twitter or Facebook or email to get in touch with the Afghan Youth Peace Volunteers. They're here in Kabul with us, and we'll be staying up all night. It will be a bit of a marathon on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day to receive your messages. We did something like this on December 19th, and there were about 8,000 people who involved themselves. And this time we're looking for many, many more. We hope we'll hear
Okay, now everybody go and check out the website, vcnv.org. V as in Victor, C, N as in Nancy, Victor.org. vcnv.org. Get the information there. Kathy, thank you.